And welcome back to centralcoastradio.com. Well, there is a brand new film about to go into cinemas that I'm sure a lot of you are really going to enjoy. The film is called Slant, and it's an Australian film that stars Sigrid Thornton and Michael Nicoll. And we thought today we would actually get the director of the film, James Vinson, on the phone to chat a little bit about Slant. Welcome to the program, James.
Hey, thanks for having me, David.
Now, James, I have to say I loved Slant. This film is so different to what else we've seen coming out in cinemas this year. It's an amazing film. Tell us a little bit about your journey with this film and how you first became involved with it.
So my journey with this film began all the way back in high school when Michael and I, the writer and lead actor, became very close friends. And he always wanted to write something in which he could truly express himself as a performer and as an artist. And I took a keen interest in his writing processes. I've been making, films all the way through, uni and afterwards. And we really wanted to make a film that took some big swings. We wanted to make a film that could show Australia that, indies could be, popcorn entertainment whilst also having something to say, and really tap into, the unique Australiana humour, and also give a helpful serving of 90s nostalgia as well.
Was it your love for cinema that made you and Michael become friends in the first place?
I think that's fair to say, yeah. I mean, we did, drama and media studies together. We saw films together. We're always unpacking, the latest Nolan flick, or, having each other over for, movie sleepovers and stuff, and dissecting stuff. Organically, we kind of knew from an early age that this is something we wanted to do in some way, shape or form.
So how long had Michael been working on Slant? Was this a script that he'd been working on for years?
Yeah, it certainly has. I think it sort of clocks in at around, 4 years, but I think the idea started earlier. It started off as just, writing short scenes and then a short film. And I was kind of reading those drafts along the way. And then when he said, I think I'm ready for this to be a feature, I said, okay, well, let's be serious about this. And so, he took the initiative, but we also had quite a few sessions, away together, over weekends and just workshopping it little by little by little. So yeah, by the time, we were ready to shoot in 2020, and then obviously it was 2020, but then, we had even more time therefore to refine the script to roll 2021.
So did that provide you with kind of a unique experience as a director, that you actually got to watch this script grow? Because quite often as a director you're brought on and the final draft is already there and there's only a few changes that need to be made. So was that kind of a unique experience for you as a director, watching the script evolve over that time?
Yeah, it was. It certainly was. And it allowed us to have both of our sensibilities infused in it. This is certainly Michael's story. Some of it is almost semi-autobiographical. And when you see that film about dysfunctional family, you'll be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was always, next to him being like, I'd always love to do this. I'd always love to do a sequence like this, do a dance sequence, this and that. So there was a lot of back and forth. So I felt in a way, directorially, I got to, tick so many things off my own personal bucket list as to the kind of things I would like to see in a movie.
Now, I always say when I do reviews, and I've been saying it for years on this show, that comedy is one of the hardest genres to get right on the screen. This film not only does comedy, but it also mixes genres as well. What was that like as a director and working with Michael to make sure that element of the film worked?
We both have a very wicked sense of humor and very much work off this idea that, comedy is so much a matter of tension and release. And you need the tension and you need the drama in order to have the audience really look forward to some kind of relief. And so that was always, part of it from the beginning. It's kind of like the way we like to, joke around ourselves, is that we do have a bit of a wicked sly sense of humor. And the idea was to always keep the audience on their toes and to not necessarily sure which to expect. And even in the really dark moments, we want to give the audience permission to laugh, because we sort of feel like, as exaggerated as the film is, life is kind of like that sometimes. Even in, your darker moments, there is humor there just under the surface.
Definitely. And now what about casting around Michael? Because you've ended up with an absolutely amazing cast, and of course starting with Sigrid Thornton as Vivian. Tell us a little bit about that casting process, and how much was the celebration when you guys got Sigrid Thornton on board?
And we are so grateful to have had Sigrid on board, and she was definitely one of our major hopes to have as a part of this film, and the process was very much finding a friend of a friend that would be able to pass on the script to her and see if it was something that she liked. And we were so thrilled that she read it and was happy to meet up with us, and pretty much in the first meeting, after she grilled me with a few questions, very much like, how are you going to pull this off, within the first meeting she said, you know what, I'm in. And we were so buoyed by that level of validation from a veteran. And I think it also made us bolder. It made us bolder in terms of how we, reached out and aimed high for our other casting. We're blessed to have the likes of Elle Mendalis and Pia Miranda, Ra Chapman, Kate Lister, Shannon Berry, Ryan Murphy. They're all such wonderful actors in their own right, and do something that only they can uniquely do. And it was very important for this to be an ensemble piece, where every character, gets their moment to shine. Because I feel like, again, with Michael and I, we see so little of that now. I guess in the HBO era, it's often these kind of very singular kind of character studies. And we just wanted like a really strong, fun, vibrant, diverse ensemble.
And how did the shoot itself go? Was it an easy shoot? Was there any difficulties? How did it go?
I mean, there's no such thing as an easy shoot, hey. But we shot Slant in 2021 between snap lockdowns. One of our 3 weeks of pre-production was swallowed up by a snap lockdown. Yep. So we were constantly kind of chasing our tails and freaking out. But at the same time, everyone was just so jazzed to be working. This was a film where everyone, got paid. Which, doesn't always happen in the indie sphere, sadly. And I think, everyone was there was a lot of goodwill, and everyone was really happy to give it their best. So even though we were under pressure, there was a certain kind of like delirious wildness that kind of added to it, because everyone was just ready to sort of show up in spite of the challenges. And I think that energy translates on screen. I think Slant has this kind of like wild, oscillating energy. And I do think to myself often, I'm like, I wonder if we'd have been able to capture that had the shoot been more comfortable.
Yeah. Now, the young filmmakers listening to this show are probably interested in this question. For you as director, what was the biggest difference you noticed being the director on a feature film rather than a short film or for television?
It's different for a couple of reasons. I would say, stamina is a big one, obviously, but I think just really paying attention to, where you are at emotionally in each scene, and making sure that you're kind of tracking your characters' journeys, because you're invariably going to be shooting things, out of order. So I thought it was, we paid a lot of attention to how we would structure our shooting schedule to just make sure that the characters and the actors playing them would have like a very kind of cohesive emotional journey. And I suppose that's one of the big differences from going from maybe shorter form content or even television, which is like a little bit more disjointed, to going for something that is, this one and done singular artifact. So yeah, just being prepared for that, will definitely, serve us, going into the next one. And that's probably, if I can have anything to offer, that's what I would offer to younger filmmakers.
Awesome. Now, of course, the other unique experience that you've had with Slant is that the film has had so many Q&A screenings before it gets its actual cinema release. What has that meant for you as a filmmaker, being able to gauge an audience's reaction to the film in that kind of setting, and then also sit down and talk to those people that have watched the film as well?
Honestly, such a thrill, and I would do it for any film I make, kind of no matter the scope. Some of my background is in theatre, and I really cherish the experience to feel an audience's energy and response in the room. And sadly, when it comes to making, short films and stuff, and I'm sure a lot of filmmakers will empathize, you don't really get that. You either put it online or put it in a festival, and sometimes you can't always make it to the festival. So it's sometimes difficult to gauge an audience response when you're making a film, which is essentially a digital artifact. So to be able to feel the audience and just talk to them and hear their different theories on, who killed so-and-so and all that sort of thing, was just so not only enjoyable but also enlightening. Just to sort of know, okay, so that instinct I had about this moment in the story, okay, that did land. Oh, and this was surprising,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would definitely, I think everybody should do it who has the opportunity to make something like this.
So, how do you feel now that the film is about to be released in cinemas to an even wider audience?
Over the moon. When we started making this, we knew we had a good team, we knew we had good material, but the nature of the beast is unpredictable, and so there are no guarantees that you get to end up in this position. So, for us, we very much feel like we're in the golden light, and we're just very happy to finally show, our work to people. I think Australian audiences are going to be surprised, they're going to be challenged, and they're going to be in for a real wild ride. So I just can't wait to hear all their responses to this.
Definitely. Well, James, to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are about to go out into cinemas this weekend and watch Slant for the first time?
I would say Slant is better in a crowd. Seeing with your friends will really elevate the experience. There are no cheap laughs, there are no cheap gasps, and there will be plenty to talk about afterwards.